of season 2, we're going to be doing butter tarts with raisins. I'm going to give the credit today due to my mother-in-law, who has given me this recipe and has made it for many years. It's very quick and easy, and you can use a ready-made pie crust or a homemade, which, if you look back in my episodes, in the first season, number 7 is basic pie crust. So without further ado, let's get baking. So like I mentioned, today's recipe is very easy and very quick, and the recipes only include 6 ingredients. So the first ingredient we're going to be using is butter, sweet cream butter. I use salted, and as you can see here on the line, we're going to be using 1/3 cup, and we're going to melt that in the microwave. Now that the butter is semi-melted, I'd like everyone to take and preheat their oven to 425 degrees while we're getting the ingredients together so we'll be ready to put in. So next on the ingredients is going to be brown sugar. We're going to be using packed brown sugar. Here we have it. The ingredients for the packed brown sugar is going to be 1 cup. I use the back of the 1/2 a cup measuring cup to pack it in. It fits nicely. And into the bowl. I use light brown sugar, but you may use dark, or you may also use, if you're cooking sugar-free, brown sugar Splenda. It turns out real good. Next on the ingredients is going to be 2 tablespoons of milk. Here we have our tablespoon. Or if you remember, the 1 cap of the milk is also a tablespoon. So let's use the cap. Okay, let's stir it up so far. This is going to be a very wet consistency that we have. Now we will add one egg. The next ingredient in this recipe is going to be vanilla, and it calls for 1 teaspoon. I have the small vanilla right here, and I will be using my measuring spoons today to do 1 teaspoon. I use real vanilla. If you use the imitation, sometimes you need to add a little more for flavor. And into the bowl. Next is my trick. In my recipes, I use a little bit of alcohol to add flavor to it. Today, I'm going to be using Grand Marnier. It has a lovely flavor. The alcohol burns off. You don't need to put alcohol in it. It tastes just as good. I also have used dark rum before, and that tastes really good. So I'm going to be putting 2 teaspoons of that in there. And last but not least, the raisins. So we're going to be using 1/2 cup of raisins. Now there are different kind of raisins you can use. You can use the white, you can use small black currants, or you can use the dark raisins that I have seen here. And we use 1/2 cup of those. You do not need to soak your raisins before you cook them to plump them up, because while they're in the oven, they will absorb the moisture from the existing dough and it will plump them up so they'll be nice and juicy. So that doesn't look like very much batter. This recipe will make 20 to 25 mini tarts, depending upon the size of your tart shells. And that's it. That's it for the recipe, and that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. Now let's get our tart shells. There are two different ways that you can make these tart shells. Now, at your local big box store, cash and carry, or online, you can buy the tarts already, the crust in the tart shells and decorated. And all you have to do is put the batter in there and bake them. Or you can use, as we see here, the homemade pie crust, and we will be cutting out with a glass the size of the tart shells. We'll fill a couple of the ready-made ones, and then we'll bake them. So let's go. Now we're going to take our small ice cream scoop that we have, and we're going to ladle that product into the pie crusts, and then we're going to bake. There we go, they're all done. Now we're going to put them in the oven, and I usually bake them for about 18 to 20 minutes. We'll take a photo of them bubbling halfway through and show you the consistency of the product that it's supposed to look like. And then when we're done, we'll take them out. So let's put them in. You see the consistency there? They're starting to brown on the edges and they're starting to raise and bubble. That's what they should look like about halfway. And so here we have a sample of the done product. We can see how they come out of the pie shell. It's like that. Crust is nice and brown. Filling is done. Now let's plate them and try them. Buttery. You can see the raisins inside, and they're warm. So the dough's a little bit warm yet, but they're good warm with a cup of coffee. Well, that's it. We made another episode, and I'm so glad you tuned in to see how to make homemade butter tarts. It was really fun, and I appreciate all your pictures that you're posting on my Facebook page and all these new subscribers that I've had this year so far in 2021. It's been great. So be sure and go to my Facebook page for this recipe. And next time we'll be making a basic banana bread. So until then, from my kitchen, I make it, you bake it.